Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I love how they just spawn me right in front of an enemy that's gonna riddle me with fucking MP-40 bullets. Fucking 9x19 Parabellum is a little painful. Oh, I remember this part. Because there's always some guys hiding behind the goddamn pillars. There's actually, you know, in the modern era, although back in the day they wouldn't have known that, that kind of feels like the Matrix hallway shootout. No, lobby shootout, that's what it was. There's some really crappy first-person shooter that came out in the early 2000s that ripped that off. I can't remember what it's called, but I remember, like, it was a really shitty game, or theoretically it was, not having played it and can't remember the name of it. But I remember on X-Play, back when Tech TV used to be a thing. Tech TV. That was a classic of television. That's back when TV used to be good. But anyway, what was I? It was a game that you had to, like, fight terrorists, like legitimate, you know, Al-Qaeda terrorists. And in that game, you could fight Osama bin Laden. And, like, I remember, like, the very end of the game, you beat him up and then put him on a helicopter for trial. And it's like, it was supposed to be a really bad game, though, in terms of, like, gameplay and optimization. But I'd love to know what it is so I can play it and review it. Because that sounds like one of the most cheesy games of all time. And, like, I don't think you can get away with doing that today. But still, it's like, the idea of kicking the shit out of Osama bin Laden. Now that, while cheesy, is still would have been pretty satisfying in the early 2000s for obvious reasons. It took until 2012 or 2011 for him to finally be tracked down. Tracking down somebody is not an easy prospect. There's all sorts of conspiracy theories about, oh, they let him go and all the rest. But you'll notice there wasn't a massive terrorist attack on that same scale at all, and still really hasn't been. There's been some terrorist attacks recently here, and, you know, but none of them on the same scale as 9/11, which is good. Which is good. Because we do not need to have that more. Because if you looked at what happened with 9/11, you'll notice that, sadly, the terrorists won. Because the whole idea of terrorism is to basically terrorize the populace, and they did an amazing job with that. Because then you had, you know, all the flight issues where you have to be patted down and all the rest. And, you know, I'm not sure how well a lot of that works. Or if it's just something that makes people feel good. Because we still have terrorist attacks, and it's still going to be pretty much impossible to stop them all. And it's one of those things where we've changed our society so much to try to stop these things that, in many respects, yeah, they did win. They made everyone afraid all the time. Which no one seems to recognize. Now, if we were... Now, this is where, you know, it gets a little controversial for me. I think we should have implemented a few changes, but not too many. Just basically show that, no, we're not going to be living in fear of death. We were going to continue living our lives as we choose to. Sadly, that didn't happen. There's actually a lot of theory on that, you know, where it's like, what exactly... Basically, to defeat your enemy without fighting is supreme excellence, and, you know, many of these terrorists have indeed defeated, in the minds of the people at least. They've won in many respects, just with all the changes we've had to do, and it really is annoying, but, well... Oh, annoying, it's more than that, but it's still just, that's life, sadly. And it's a good thing that people are getting more serious about it than they ever were. What's interesting about, you know, the whole concept of terrorism and moving on to social justice is that, you know, social justice, I had known about that for years prior to, you know, social justice, prior to social justice being more in the mainstream, you know, people really complaining about it. And ultimately, we'll discuss that more in the next episode, because this is the end of Floor 8. I am GeneralLotz, wishing you good... what am I going to wish you good this time? Good MP40, again. Or whatever makes you happy.